Hello, my name is Nikki Glenn, and today I will be discussing with you the dangers of child terrorism in the Middle East and Africa. Child terrorism is the use of children under 18 to perpetuate violence by terrorist groups. These children are often used because they are much easier to manipulate compared to adults in the region. Several factors have led to an increase in the utilization of children by terrorist groups as a means to incite fear in the Middle East and Africa. Contributing factors, such as the global death toll due to terrorism rising from 8,000 in the year 2010 to 44,000 in 2014, as shown by our world data, the lack of recognition of human rights by governments in the Middle East, as well as a lack of intervention of foreign countries, has also resulted in an uptick in child terrorism. Current sanctions have been making areas in the Middle East unstable and have increased tensions among areas where child terrorism is high. In recent years, the extent to which countries in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, have implemented sanctions has increased dramatically. For example, in Baldur's article from 2020, he claims the number of U.S. troops in the Middle East have grown from about 60,000 to more than 80,000 in recent years. Though these sanctions may seem like a step in the right direction, they do not make as large of a positive impact as promised. Donovan, in 2018 article, cites multiple sources in her paper and claims the Iranian president, Rouhani, thought that the U.S. sanctions had, quote, no effect on Iran's economy. Also emphasized that the United States cannot cut off Iran's oil exports to zero. This was in relation to past President Trump's then recent sanctions on Iran. Some believe, however, the best way to prevent an increase in child terrorism is to instead provide better assistance programs for former child terrorists in order to prevent future conversions to these terrorist groups. So essentially, child terrorists can experience long-term mental effects, even years after they are rehabilitated. So these former child terrorists are much more likely to experience mental trauma due to war-related events when compared to their peers who were not serving as terrorists. Researcher for the Center for Children in Vulnerable Situations, as well as a lecturer in the Department of Orthopediology at the University of College Grant, conducted a study in 2013, which ultimately found that former child soldiers had significantly greater experiences of war-related events when compared to their non-recruited counterparts. Another major issue that stems from inadequate system of mental health assistance when it comes to survivors of child terrorism. Hogan criticized that many de-radicalization programs, while suggesting to address the radical mindsets of actors, focus solely on leading former terrorists away from violence, when essentially they should have been reintegrating them into society. This is from a 2013 journal by TM. So essentially, these former terrorists were not getting the proper integration system that would prevent former conversions in the future. It is clear, however, the effects of child terrorism are detrimental, not only for the victims of terrorism, but they can also have serious effects on the countries where child terrorism is present. However, without any calculated solution, it is proposed that the number of child terrorists will grow in the future. The overall lack of foreign intervention in terms of sanctions to effectively discourage child terrorism in the Middle East and Africa is one of the primary setbacks in terms of the growing number of child terrorists in the region. An increase in mental health facilities, as well as rehabilitation and de-radicalization programs specifically created for these victims of child terrorism, could most certainly help reintegrate these children back into society. And overall, an increase in mental health funding as well as more in-depth sanctioned plan to discourage the utilization of child terrorism in the Middle East and Africa, could ultimately result in a decrease in child terrorists in the region rather than the projected increase. Thank you.